Boom! What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Saturday to you all, and welcome to another live beer review. Today we're going to be taking a look at another beer from Urban South out of Houston, Texas. They have two locations. They're originally out of Louisiana, but they opened a second location in Houston. And I received this one in a trade from my buddy, The Real Beer Snob, on Instagram. We did a little bit of a trade and for a couple beers, and this is another one of the ones he sent me. This one's called the Retrograde. It's the barrel-aged Imperial Stout with cacao nibs and hazelnuts. So, yeah, this sounds pretty damn delicious. I love Imperial Stouts, even though it's the middle of summer, and I can drink them year-round. I don't really care, but this one I think is going to be interesting. Of course, I always like to kind of see when it comes to stouts with nuts in them, if it kind of creates like an oil, like, because peanuts have, and different kind of nuts have their own oils to them. So sometimes when you add actual peanuts to a stout, it leaves like kind of like an oily film on the top when you pour it. That's just a normal thing. It's not really bad for the beer or anything like that. But there's nothing really much that I know too much about this beer, to be honest. I know it's a 10.5%, so that's definitely going to be something that's going to be discussed a little bit, and knowing that this isn't going to be a sessional kind of beer, because there's no information of what kind of barrel it was aged in or anything like that. But of course, this one does contain lactose as well, just so anybody who is lactose intolerant. This is something to keep an eye out for if you don't want to get your hands on anything with lactose in it, because you never know. It's going to kind of mess with your stomach and stuff like that. But yeah, this one's called the Retrograde, which I've had maybe one beer from the Houston one, which I did a review for it a little while ago, and it was pretty damn sweet. It was definitely a pastry stout, but it was strong and it was very, very sweet. But it was still delicious, and I'm thinking this is going to be my second stout from Urban South, and I want to see what they have what they have on more like the barrel aged side of things. If it's going to be a little bit more boozy, if there's going to definitely be hazelnut flavor. I'm wondering if there's going to be a bitterness due to just being the cacao nibs. They didn't say if there's going to be husks in there, so I might not get like a chocolatey sweetness coming from it. Maybe more like a bitter, dark chocolate kind of flavor. But yeah, I'm pretty damn excited. I've heard a lot of good things from this brewery, to be honest. And having the one beer that I've had from them, I had a pretty damn good experience. So I'm hoping to get the same kind of experience from this one. So let's crack this thing open and see what we get on the nose with this guy. Let's see what this guy smells like. Okay. Definitely getting that booziness that you expect. Maybe it's like a bourbon barrel aged kind of situation. They didn't let me know. I don't really have much information knowing if it's like a bourbon barrel aged stout or if it's just like your normal. It could be a rum barrel aged. It could be all kind of whiskey barrels. It can be all kinds of things that they age this one in. But not knowing what kind of barrel they aged it in, it's kind of a nice, exciting kind of feeling, just because you never know what you're going to get when it comes to the booziness and kind of the oaky kind of flavors that are going to come through. It's going to get a little bit of smokiness, of course, due to like the charring on the inside of the barrels. But yeah, it smells pretty damn delicious. So let's pour this guy. Gonna be drinking this out of my 311 tulip glass this afternoon. Let's pour it and see what this thing's like. Of course, this thing's gonna be as dark as my soul. Nice light brown head coming from it, not too crazy. Okay, a little bit of a nice kind of light brown head coming from it, but this looks absolutely delicious, if I say so myself. Oh yeah, look at that. That looks absolutely fantastic. Still getting a decent amount of like booziness coming from it. I wonder if it was like, see, there's definitely I don't know if it's like maybe a cherry kind of note. Maybe it's definitely a little bit of chocolate coming through. Maybe I'm almost getting like hints of like the barrel aged stout we did, which was like a chocolate covered cherry kind of situation. I'm getting similar notes to that, but overall it smells pretty damn delicious. So let's give this guy a try and see what it's all about. So cheers, everybody. Happy Saturday. Ooh. Okay, right off the bat, you get that booziness that kind of comes through and hits you in the face. Definitely, you can tell it's a high ABV for sure. That you're just getting slapped in the face with that bourbon barrel aged kind of just perfection that I love in barrel aged stouts. There's definitely a sweetness coming through. It's almost like a semi-sweet chocolate. It's not like a dark chocolate kind of situation. There is a chocolatey sweetness that is coming through with this one that is actually really, really nice. But definitely has more of a syrupy kind of mouthfeel as well. But the moment it hits your tongue, you're getting that bourbon, boozy kind of flavor just hitting you right in the face. I feel it on my lips. I feel it on my tongue, that warmth that comes from it. Yeah, that's delicious. Absolutely delicious. It's definitely a nice, simplistic barrel-aged stout, because when it comes to just doing like an Imperial barrel-aged, yeah, Ian. When it comes to just making a nice, easy barrel-aged stout, of course, there's so many different whiskey barrel options that you can do, and each one will give a little bit of different flavors. But you can kind of have like a nice stout base, of course. Having it sit in the barrel is going to add a little bit of that creaminess to it over there as well. But this is definitely not for the faint of heart, just because there is a significant boozy, like barrel-aged kind of flavor coming through on this one, but not really getting much of a smokiness. Definitely getting more of like, I think this is definitely more of a whiskey / bourbon kind of flavor. I'm thinking leaning more towards bourbon. But yeah, super smooth, super creamy on the mouthfeel. Definitely the more you drink it, the more chocolate starts coming through, which is really nice. And everything's really well balanced. It's not too boozy. It's not too chocolatey. Definitely getting a little bit of roasty kind of flavors due to the roasted malts that you probably add in there. That's because that's for the color. But overall, yeah, this one's absolutely delicious. So let's look over here at Untapped. and because I want to see if Untappd shows any similar beers to this one, because this similar beers list for this one specifically is only showing 3, which is interesting. We got one here from Dissolver, which I've heard a lot about this brewery. I definitely want to try this stuff. I know that they've showed up on a Tavor a couple times. I just haven't pulled the trigger on getting anything from them. But they have one called the Tone Death, which is, let's see if it's an Imperial Stout, 11.7%. Let's see if this is barrel aged. Yep, so they aged it 18 months in Heaven Hill bourbon barrels. Definitely high bourbon forward on this one, but let's see. You get it. They added Oreos, they had marshmallows, and then coffee, which is going to help kind of let those little bitter flavors come through a little bit more, give them more earthiness. But yeah, this one may be pretty damn similar, I think. That's going to be pretty close. We got one here from 8th State Brewing Company called The Broom, which is a collaboration they did with Weldworks Brewing Company. It's a 13% American kind of stout. It's an Imperial Stout with ube, cashew, Madagascar vanilla, Ecuadorian vanilla, and toasted coconut. That sounds pretty damn delicious as well. But that one's going to be pretty damn close, I think, because it's going to get a little bit, that the roasted coconuts get out a little bit of a different flavor. I don't really see any barrel aging with this one. So, but looking at some of the check-ins, people are saying it's like a liquid ice cream cone, so it's definitely maybe more of a sweeter stout. And then the last one we got here for similar beers is one from Burial Beer Co., which is called The Wretched Exile of the Unrepentant. So it's 15% Imperial Stout. Let's see, bourbon barrel aged in, it doesn't say the barrel, but there's onyx coffee, figs, honey, orange zest, and Madagascar vanilla. Ooh, that's going to be really complex. I think that sounds absolutely delicious. But I don't know if I'd pick that one to be similar just because there's a lot more going on. I think I'm going to pick this Tone Death from Dissolver to be probably the most similar beer to this one, I think. Of course, there's a lot of breweries out there that make some nice barrel-aged stouts. I don't know if I'd put this in the realm of almost being like a pastry stout, due to pastry stouts having a lot more of a sweeter kind of note in there. And usually pastry stouts aren't really barrel-aged. You want to kind of have it to be desserty and decadent and all that kind of stuff. This is definitely hit you in the face when it comes to booziness, and it's absolutely delicious. So I think I'm going to pick the Tone Death to be the most similar. So if you can get anything from Dissolver, I know where are they out of. Dissolver is out of Asheville, North Carolina. So if you can get over there, maybe find the Tone Death or maybe another Imperial Stout from them, you may have a similar experience. But let's look here. Does the Houston location of Urban South have any beers like this on tap right now? Let's take a look at their website and see if it shows anything. Tap rooms. Let's see. Beers. Let's see if there's any, what the year round. Actually, no, let's go back here. Houston Specialty. Let's see what Houston has to offer right now. So they have their fruited sours. Okay. So it looks like all their specialty stuff is their fruited sours right now. But when it comes to what's available now, seasonal releases, let's see. Oktoberfest. I don't think there's going to be really anything on here right now that's going to be similar to this. I don't know why they don't show it on their website, but looking at the year-round stuff, they don't really have any year-round things when it comes to comparing to this. This may be a very, very limited release that they did, but it is what it is. But looking back here on Untappd, let's kind of skimming through this a little bit more. So on Untappd, it shows that this one is a 10.5% ABV, which it doesn't state it on the can at all, which kind of bugs me a little bit, to be honest. I like to know the ABV of the beer I'm going to be drinking, and when a brewery doesn't have the ABV on the can, it kind of upsets me a little bit. I'm going to be completely honest. It's just, that's the information that I think they should provide to you at least somewhere on the can, and I do not see it anywhere because you just see the name, the Retrograde on the bottom, and then just your normal Urban South stuff on the side. But nothing when it comes to ABV is shown on here, which kind of sucks, because that's a big miss on information that should be provided to the person that is drinking the beer. So, Logan, looking at here, 10.5% ABV, so would 100% not consider this sessionable one bit. Let's see what else here. With over 356 ratings on this one has an average rating of 4.12 out of 5. And looking at some of the pictures on here, it looks like depending on whenever they decide to release it or a batch release on it, they change the can art a little bit, which is kind of odd. I don't know why they do that, because looking at Untapped right now on this one. There's almost like a shooting star kind of situation, and then the newer ones that I have with them, I'm seeing some recent check-ins almost has like this sunlight kind of thing, or maybe the shooting star is, maybe it's an asteroid hitting the Earth or something like that. I don't know, but the can art is nice. I like it. I enjoy it. It's kind of simplistic because I really haven't seen Urban South do anything when it comes to complexity when it comes to their can art. But overall, yeah, the can art's fine. But having that 4.12 rating on Untapped is pretty damn good. And I think I have one person on my friends list, the guy who actually sent this to me, Mr. Real Beer Snob, checked this one in. He gave it a full 5 out of 5 on Untapped. So he must have really liked it. And this is a fantastic beer. This is probably the best one that he sent me so far. At least for my flavor palette, this is probably the favorite one I've drank from him that he sent over to me. So let's look here at the global ratings and see what other people had to say. So this person gave it a 4.5. He drank it at the Lounge of Luxurious Liquids, which is a beer garden home. Okay, so this is probably his house he kind of created, but this is in Montana, looks like. Let's see, another 4.5. I'm guessing he drank it with his buddies, so that's probably why there's more than one check-in when it comes to the same location. Let's see here. We got a 3.75 purchased at the District 8 Beer Company, which is a beer bar over in Belmont, North Carolina. Let's see what else we got here. What the hell is this? Okay, so this guy checked it in. He said, where is it on the picture here? It's not on the picture, but he just has a bunch of, looks like some of the bourbon counties lined up in a Ballast Point beer saying, thanks, share, thanks, sponge. So I wonder if he just went to a kind of a meetup where everybody was sampling some barrel-aged beers and all that kind of stuff. But let's see. This guy gave it a 4.25. Another purchase he drank it at the S&J Snack Bar, which I'm guessing this is a place in Durham, North Carolina. Let's see. We got a 3.75 check-in here, purchased at the Blue Door, which is another place in North Carolina. A lot of North Carolina check-ins I'm looking at right now. Let's see. We got a 4 out of 5 purchased at Louis Liquor, which is in Azuna, California. So this one's available in California right now too. Let's see. We got a 4.5 here. He doesn't say he purchased it there, but I'm assuming that he purchased it here and drank it here. It's a place called CJ's Doghouse Bottle Shop and Growler Shop in Culpsville, Pennsylvania. So there's definitely okay. So Pennsylvania check-ins. Let's see what else we got here. We got another 4.5 purchased at the Bastrop Beer Company, which is in Bastrop, Texas. So yeah, seeing a lot of North Carolina, Texas, California. So this is definitely nice seeing availability when it comes to stuff from Urban South. I know their distribution when it comes to a lot of their beers is pretty decent when it comes to availability, knowing that you can get a lot of Urban South beers, especially from the Houston location that I would consider probably their experimental location, to be honest. That they're being able to get this stuff out to the masses, because it looks like the year-round stuff most likely is brewed in Louisiana, and then the experimental, like their fruited sours and maybe their barrel-aged stouts, are brewed in Houston, where they do all the more complex kind of style of beers, and having that like maybe smaller release, not as high of a demand kind of situation done over there, which I think is cool. Having a different location specialize in the more rare release kind of situation, I think is cool. It kind of gives people the opportunity to go over to the main location if they're in Louisiana that just wants to try out the Urban South experience, and then if you're in the Houston area, you could try some of the more specialty stuff that they do, which I think is really cool. Kind of give you a different experience no matter what location you go to. So that's really cool how they do that way. But with all that being said, let's see. Last thing before we start doing our ratings over here, let's look and see what are some verified locations for either Urban South Houston's beers or anything from Urban South in general. So let's see what we got here. We got the one that I was talking about, the CJ's Doghouse Bottle Shop and Growler Shop in Culpsville, Pennsylvania, as a verified location. We got Junior's Discount Liquors number 3 in Castro Valley, California. Let's see, we got a place called Brewski's Beverage in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. And we got a place called the Salute Bottle Shop in Charlotte, North Carolina. And finally, we got a place called the Backyard Grill in Houston, Texas. So, yeah, pretty good availability when it comes to almost on the eastern side of the country. A little bit of, I'm looking to see, maybe, looks like California is the only other state that I'm seeing Urban South stuff coming through. but a lot in the East Coast, Pennsylvania, of course, Houston, North Carolina. North Carolina was a big kind of recent check-in like spike when it comes to who has been checking this one in recently. So that's really cool that people in North Carolina have been getting their hands on this one. But with all that being said, let's start trying to figure out what we're going to be doing for ratings on our end with this guy. But yeah, Kentucky. I don't know if you've had. I've always been curious on some of their fruited sours. I don't know if you've picked any of their stuff. Because Kentucky, I don't know if it's the regular Urban South or do you know if it's the Houston, Texas location? Because it'll say the HTX on the label when it's an Urban South Houston or if it's a regular Urban South like yearly release. But let's see what we're going to start doing for ratings on our end with this guy over here. And of course, let me pour a little bit more into the glass because it's delicious. Very nice sweetness coming through now. Definitely almost getting to like a milkier kind of chocolate. I think the lactose is kind of doing its thing now. Definitely loving the creamy mouthfeel. But let's look at can art because that's what the first thing we're going to do a rating on here. And yeah, it's like I stated in the beginning of the review, it's very simple. I haven't really seen anything when it comes to complexity for Urban South, even though they like to keep it clean and classy. I don't know if this would be something that would like, if I didn't know who Urban South was, I don't know if this would be something that would be eye-catching to me at a... Yeah, definitely keep an eye on that because looks like the Houston location, Kentucky, does the more of experimental, their sours, their barrel-aged stuff, when I think the Louisiana location is just more of like their year-round releases is where they brew that stuff out of. But I think the Houston is where kind of the special release stuff is. But yeah, back to the can art on this one. I've never noticed anything from Urban South to be something that's just crazy eye-catching. So this one being one that, I mean, it's nice. I like the colors. I liked how it's almost, I don't know if it reminds me of sunlight, like over the ocean, seeing the horizon, kind of like that. Or if it's just like how I'm showing in Untapped, where the first kind of package release when it comes to the label was almost like an asteroid landing, and maybe this was the release to maybe where the asteroid hit and is creating that flash. I don't know. But overall, it's fine. I wouldn't really put this as a label that would be eye-catching for me. I'm going to be completely honest. If I saw this at a liquor store or bottle shop and didn't know who Urban South was, I would probably go right past it. I'm going to be completely honest here. Like, doesn't really have anything on there that screams out at me if I saw it at a liquor store or bottle shop. So, with that, I'd probably give it like a 2.5, maybe a 2.75 when it comes to can art. It's fine. Nothing really too crazy when it comes to like a lot of detail and all that kind of stuff. But let's see here. If I got this beer in a flight over at Urban South, Houston, Texas, would I get another one? Abso-freaking-lutely. This is absolutely fantastic. I'm a huge, huge fan of this one. Definitely has a nice balance of sweetness, booziness. Not too sweet, not too boozy. But overall, I think they did an absolutely amazing job with this one. This is absolutely delicious. Like I stated earlier in the review, this is probably the best one for Urban South that I've had so far. I enjoy this a little bit more than the pastry stout, and this one is just stellar. Absolutely stellar. So, with that being said, I think my final rating on this guy, I'm going to give it a really, really easy 9 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic. I'm definitely not going to have a problem getting one of these. If I got it in a flight, I would 100% get another one of these for sure. I'd probably get a couple 4-packs to bring home because it's absolutely delicious. Most likely, I can see this one being only released in 2-packs. And I would definitely like to see if I had the opportunity to get another one of these, if I decided to cellar it and see how it would sit being in a nice kind of dark location for a good amount of time. So maybe those boozy notes can kind of come through a little bit more, maybe like a little bit more of a chocolatier kind of note in there. But overall, this Retrograde for Urban South is absolutely outstanding. So big shout outs to Urban South Houston for coming out with this one. They definitely need to start playing around more with some barrel-aged beers. I know they have a few from what I've seen, but I definitely like to see a little bit more barrel-aged stuff coming from them, because if this is the experience I'm getting, I would just can't wait to see any other kind of barrel-aged release they do, because they did an absolutely outstanding job. But other than that, yeah, I think that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. So thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are awesome. If you haven't yet, please hit that like button. It'll help me out a lot. Also, if you're new to the channel and like what you see, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well, along with that notification bell. It'll let you know whenever I go live during the review. I have reviews planned for the rest of this weekend, so keep an eye out for that. Maybe some in the beginning of the week next week. So you'll just have to keep an eye out on my Instagram for that. And speaking of Instagram, you can go over there and shoot me a follow to find out what I'm be reviewing. Of course, then you can find out some shenanigans I'm doing over at the brewery when I'm working. So maybe see some stuff during the brewing process, or maybe I'll post something when we're having a new beer released. I know in the next couple of weeks, not this weekend right now, but the weekend after is we're having our Fib Fest. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, come on out. We have a bunch of bands playing, food trucks, all that kind of stuff coming up. It's going to be all weekend long. It's just going to be a giant party. It's going to be a really, really fun time. I think it's our 3rd year anniversary too. So 3 years of Fibs being open. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, come by during Fib Fest and give it a shot. It's just a really, really fun time with their beer releases. We're going to have our Juggling Ranchero, our Watermelon Jolly Rancher Ale is going to be releasing that weekend as well, so you'll be able to get your hands on that. But I think it's going to be a really, really fun time with those. So you can keep an eye out on my Instagram for any updates with that. I'll probably be posting my story during Fib Fest and all that kind of stuff. But let's see here. Of course, you can also shoot me a friend request on Untapped. You guys hear me talk about Untapped every review I do. It's a fantastic platform. You could check in beers, get badges, all that kind of stuff. I like to call it Facebook for beer drinkers. It's just a fantastic platform. I'm on it every single day, and it's just so user friendly, and it's absolutely awesome. Plus, you can find people like me, Ian, Kentucky's on there, Face Mate's on there, Duchess is on there, Logan, the Typhon, Sean, and Lizzie. There's a bunch of us on Untapped just checking in beers and having a good time. So it's a really, really cool platform that I recommend any craft beer lover to download and just enjoy the experience that you can have through that platform that they offer. But last but not least, if you want to support me a little bit more than just subscribe to my YouTube, subscribe to my pages, I do have a Patreon available to where I also do monthly 4-pack giveaways of craft beer, Illinois exclusive craft beer to be exact. So you can join the Patreon and support me getting more beer in my hands, and then I can give back to you guys a little bit more when it comes to content and more beer reviews, and I'll possibly get some stuff out there when it comes to merch. The more people that join the Discord, the Patreon will get me going with the Discord, and then all kinds of stuff. So I put merch planned, glassware, coasters, koozies, all the kind of stuff that I want to do for the patrons. So if you want to join that and support me, the link to that is down in the description below as well. But other than that, that is what I have for you guys today. So again, thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are awesome. And I'm going to end this like I always do before we get the hell out of here. If you're going to drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. And I'll see you all next time. Cheers.